From his vision of the ideal Superman for the DCU, to claiming his new cast are the best actors he's ever worked with. This is how James Gunn really feels about the Superman auditions. Earlier in 2023, Gunn wanted Henry's replacement to be someone who had all the humanity that Superman has, but he's also an alien. Very odd qualification for the job, don't you think? He also wanted the actor who has the kindness and compassion of the Man of Steel, and should be someone you want to hug from. Looking at all these details and comparing them with the actor they ended up hiring makes a lot of sense. When people were still trying to guess who the new Boy Scout could be, fans pointed to Will Poulter and Chris Pratt as interesting prospects. Now, as the co-president of DC Films, Gunn has the power to cast anyone he wishes, and that means people he's worked with in Guardians of the Galaxy too. When asked if he'd auditioned for the role, Poulter laughed at the thought and said that he hadn't considered it until now. He won't audition because he's grateful for the opportunity as Adam Warlock in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and appreciates whatever time he has to be a part of the superhero genre. Pratt, on the other hand, was a little too old for the director's liking and said it could have been possible if he was a few years younger. He does have plans for Mantis actress Pom Clemente F., who might have a part in Superman Legacy. As for the lead role, David Corenswet was chosen to put on the red and blue suit. This was revealed on June 27, 2023, along with the news of Rachel Brosnahan playing Lois Lane. The choice got a lot of mixed reactions since it meant the DCEU Supes was finally gone. Some were relieved that Henry's depressed Superman was no more, and some were frustrated because his story ended on a cliffhanger. See, when Gunn fired Henry and everyone else in the DCEU, a good chunk of the fans boycotted everything after Zack Snyder left. This is partly the reason why all the movies that the studios have been releasing have been flopping horribly at the box office. So, Corenswet is just an addition to DC's struggle, but when James confirmed the announcement on his Twitter account, he claimed that David and Rachel are both incredible actors. Assurance from the man who made the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy is always a good thing, until you remember he also hyped up The Flash. And you really don't want me to talk about that movie. But Gunn is satisfied with his choice, and I guess you could say David does match the description James gave for his ideal Superman. Let's just hope he bulks up a little for the role, because the guy before him was twice his size. What else can David be expected to go through apart from massive physical changes? Well, for starters, definitely not an origin story. Yep, James has confirmed that Superman Legacy will not tell us Kal-El's backstory. This means whenever we see the new Supes fight crime, it won't be his first time doing so. Gunn also said that metahumans already exist on Earth when he lands, so a guy floating in the sky is nothing new to people. The story will mostly show his time as a reporter for the Daily Planet, and that's where his love interest, Lois, plays a pivotal role. Jimmy Olsen is also confirmed to appear, which means that we'll finally get to explore their friendship on screen. The antagonist of the film remains a mystery, but fans are hoping it's someone other than Lex Luthor or General Zod. Since this isn't an origin story, the plot will explore Clark's Kryptonian heritage, as he tries to balance it with his life spent on the Kent farm as a human. It was also revealed that the movie will take inspiration from Grant Morrison's comic run, titled All-Star Superman, which involves the Man of Steel being overexposed to the sun's rays and almost dies because of radiation. Word on the street has it that if Luthor were to appear in the movie, it'd be a superpowered version that the comics like to call Apex Lex. Sounds pretty cool, but whether the cast and crew can pull it off is a whole other question. Luckily, it looks like the movie's in safe hands though, because Gunn himself is writing and directing it. When the new co-presidents announced the next phase of the DCU in January 2023, the first project of the slate needed a director. After an agonizingly long wait, James announced that he'd be doing the job himself. He's still looking for more people to direct the other projects on their lineup, and found the Flash director Andy Muschietti to take on Brave and the Bold. Ever since Gunn was announced to lead the film, it became clear that the hero means a lot to him, and so does this project. Heck, even the release date has emotional value to it, since July 11th is also Gunn's late father's birthday. The character has always been about family, hope, and optimism, and Gunn intends to do everything in his power to bring it all to life with Corenswet in the lead, the same actor who's both a fan-favorite pick and a nightmare for others. How so? Well, David hasn't been in enough projects to hold such a massive responsibility. I mean, most of his career highlights are all on the small screen, so there's a serious lack of experience to start off a whole new cinematic universe. Yes, Gunn wanted a relatively unknown actor, and not a Hollywood A-lister. But Corenswet's inexperience isn't the only complaint that fans have. Some haters have been saying he doesn't look strong enough. I mean, to be fair, Henry was huge when he wore the suit, and actually looked like the last son of Krypton. But some of David's performances, like in Pearl, sure does show sparks of the Smallville charm in him. Plus, if Gunn believes that Corenswet is good enough to wear the big red cape, then who are we to judge? But it sure was a tough competition to cast the new Supes, since some real stars were in the running for it. The audition process was a long one, and it involved two other stars who were great contenders to play the part. Nicholas Hoult and Tom Brittney were shortlisted alongside Corenswet, and each of them were going through test screenings and costume trials to see who gives off more Kryptonian energy. Each actor was paired with an actress, so that the casting directors can get a look at who has the best on-screen chemistry. Hoult was paired with Brosnahan, Corenswet with Emma Mackey, and Brittney with Phoebe Denover. All of them looked great in their roles, but it was David and Rachel who appealed to Gunn the most and won the leads in the upcoming movie. You can check out the Superman actor's talent in The Politician, Hollywood, and Pearl. Brosnahan, on the other hand, has a stronger portfolio, and you can catch her in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, House of Cards, and The Blacklist. Gunn thinks that these two are the best options out there, but that doesn't mean the other actors weren't just as good. After all, he was blown away by what he'd seen in the casting process. On his Blue Sky account, he said that he had an amazing weekend of auditions for Superman Legacy, claiming they were some of the best actors he's ever seen or worked with, which feels like a low blow to the other stars in his projects. I mean, it looks like the moment he walked away from the MCU, he's back to throwing shade at the franchise now that he's the boss. Nothing to worry about though, because Gunn will hire some of his old cast members and give them a cozy spot with the Justice League. He's yet to cast more talent for the first phase of his universe, and things can go nowhere but up from here. As long as DC's box office curse is lifted, of course, otherwise it's bye-bye to the all-new DCU. Superman Legacy shows promise, after all. It's always a good thing when the director involved is passionate and has an emotional attachment to the character. Superman was always important to him in his childhood, and if you pay close attention to his Twitter account, it looks like we'll be getting a comic-accurate version of the character. Yes, with the trunks out. Only time will tell if Corenswet will do justice to the character, though, especially since saying goodbye to Henry wasn't the ending most of the fans wanted. So they're hoping to find comfort in the new casting, since it took a long time to choose him. Well, there you have it, folks. From claiming his new cast are the best actors he's ever worked with, to his vision of the ideal Superman for the DCU, that's how James Gunn really felt about the Superman auditions.